You arrive in the world wet and blind, pressed against two other small bodies inside a dark wooden chamber. The air smells of mud and bark and water. Something large and warm shifts beside you. You push your nose toward the warmth and find your mother's side. You are 3 days old. Your eyes are sealed shut, but your nose is already working. You can smell the difference between the wood of the lodge walls and the water below the entry tunnel. You can smell your siblings. You can smell that the world outside this chamber is cold and moving. Your mother licks your head. You curl tighter against her. You are 2 weeks old now. Your eyes have opened. The lodge is dim, but you can make out the rounded ceiling of woven sticks and dried mud above you, the smooth platform of the sleeping shelf you share with your siblings, and the dark oval of the tunnel that drops into the water below. You have not gone down there yet. You are not ready. Your father surfaces through the tunnel, shakes water from his dense fur, and steps onto the shelf. He carries a branch in his teeth. He begins to eat, methodically, stripping the bark with his front incisors in long, clean pulls. You watch him. You move toward him and nose the branch. He does not stop you. You taste bark for the first time. It is bitter and sweet at once, and something in your jaw knows exactly what to do with it. You are 6 weeks old. You go into the water for the first time, and your body does something unexpected. It floats. Your thick underfur traps air against your skin. Your back feet, wide and webbed, push without you thinking about them, and you move forward through the black water of the underwater tunnel and then up and out into open air. The pond is enormous. Your parents built it. A dam of mud and sticks and stone holds back the creek downstream, and the backed-up water spreads wide and still. Cattails ring the far edge. Birch and aspen stand on the bank, white and gold in the early light. You see it all, and your nose fills with a world 10 times larger than the one inside the lodge. You stay close to the lodge entrance. You are not yet confident in open water. When a heron lands on the far bank, you dive without deciding to, pulling yourself back down the tunnel with your webbed feet, surfacing in the dark of the lodge chamber with your heart moving fast. You are 3 months old. You and your 2 siblings spend most of your waking hours in and near the pond. You are learning what your body can do. You can stay underwater for 4 minutes. You can carry a branch twice your body length. You can use your front paws like hands, turning and rotating objects, holding them steady while your teeth work. Your incisors are orange-brown at the front face and white at the back, and they are not the same hardness. The front enamel is harder than the back dentine. This means they self-sharpen as you chew. You do not know this. You only know that the resistance of wood feels right. That gnawing is as natural as breathing. Your father begins to fell trees this season. You watch him work. He circles a young aspen, his incisors cutting at an angle, biting out a wedge of wood, rotating slightly, biting again. Chips fall around his feet. He works steadily, without hurry. The tree leans. He backs away. It falls into the water with a clean crash that sends ripples to the far edge of the pond. You approach the fallen tree. You begin to strip branches. Your mother takes the larger pieces toward the dam. Your father is already selecting the next tree. You do not need to be taught any of this. The behavior is inside you, as fully formed as your teeth. You are 1 year old. A second litter has arrived in the lodge. 2 new kids. You understand, in the way that your body understands things before your mind catches up, that the lodge is no longer entirely yours. You find yourself spending more time outside, working the dam, carrying mud in the crook of your front legs, pressing it into gaps. The dam is always changing. A storm loosens a section. You repair it. Spring melt raises the water level, and you must add height to the spillway. A mink investigates the bank near the food cache, and you slap your wide flat tail on the water's surface, a crack like a stone thrown hard, and dive. You are 2 years old. Your parents will drive you off this spring. This is how it works. You have known it was coming in some unthinking way. When your father begins to follow you to the territory boundary and posture, tail low, body angled, you understand. You leave. You move downstream. You travel at night, swimming the creek, hauling out to portage around shallow riffles, sliding back in. You are alone for the first time in your life, and the absence of your family's scent is the strangest feeling you have encountered. You mark logs and rocks with castoreum from your castor glands as you move, leaving a chemical record of your passage. You find a stretch of creek with a good bend, a wide bank, young aspens and willows crowding the water's edge, and an existing depression in the stream bed. You know what this place can become. You begin to build. The first dam is rough. You are working alone and the creek has more current than the pond you were born into. Branches wash downstream before you can anchor them. Mud slides off. You try again. You pack smaller sticks first, then larger ones across them, angling them into the current. You fill gaps with mud and stones and broken reed stems. The water slows. It rises. The pond begins to form. It takes you 3 weeks to build a dam that holds. You dig the lodge foundation in the deepest part of the new pond. You pile sticks. You excavate the entry tunnels below the freeze line, below the future ice layer, so the door to your home will always be open, always below the surface. You cap the lodge with mud that will freeze solid come winter, a shell no predator can break. You are 3 years old. A female has found your territory. You smelled her before you saw her. She investigated your castor mound near the eastern bank, then set one of her own beside it, overlapping, a question and an answer at once. You find her at the edge of your food cache. You circle each other in the water. You touch noses. You dive together. She stays. You begin rebuilding the lodge larger, adding a second chamber. She carries mud from the bank in her front paws. You haul branches. You work side by side without instruction, without conflict, the way two parts of the same system settle into function. Your first litter arrives the following spring. 3 kits. You know what to do. The years move in the rhythm of the seasons. Summer is cutting and hauling and building up the food cache underwater near the lodge. A stockpile of branches anchored in the mud that will feed you through the months when the surface is locked in ice. You work until your cache is as tall as the lodge itself. Autumn is reinforcing the dam before the first freeze, layering fresh mud that will set hard as the temperature drops. Winter is life inside the lodge and slow feeding from the cache, surfacing through the entry tunnel in the dark water beneath the ice, breathing in the air pocket that forms there naturally. You are 6 years old. Your territory is established, its boundary marked by castor mounds at every approach. You and your mate have raised 2 litters. Your oldest offspring left last spring. You watched them go the way your parents watched you go without ceremony. A drought takes hold the summer of your 7th year. The creek feeding your pond drops. The pond level falls. You extend the dam. You extend it again. Your food cache sits partially exposed to the air. You begin foraging farther afield, dragging branches longer distances to compensate. Your trails through the grass and sedge become worn channels, deep enough to see. A coyote takes one of your kits at the edge of the water in late summer. You were not there. You found the signs afterward. You do not grieve the way a mammal with a larger cortex might, but you work that night until dawn on the section of dam nearest the bank where it happened. You are 10 years old. Your incisors are still sharp, still self-honing, still orange at the front. Your joints, though, carry the memory of a decade of hauling. Cold mornings slow your movements. You surface from the lodge later than you used to. Your mate compensates, taking more of the cache hauling in the early season. A male has been testing your eastern boundary for 2 seasons now. Young, unestablished, persistent. You have driven him off twice. This third time, at the castor mound near the eastern inlet, he does not retreat immediately. You slap the water. He slaps back. You move toward him in the water, and he is faster than you once were. He bites your rear flank. You turn and bite his shoulder. He retreats this time, but not as far as before. You are 12 years old. Your mate handles the dam work now. You still cut trees, but smaller ones, closer to the water. Your kits from 3 seasons ago, your last litter, have stayed longer than your earlier offspring, and you have not driven them off with the same urgency. Perhaps you cannot. The pond is wide and deep and clear, a mirror in the early morning. The dam you built decade by decade spans the creek in a solid curve 15 meters across, 2 meters high at its apex. The lodge rises from the center of the pond on a small island of its own making, its mud walls thick and pale, a structure that will outlast you. You spend a morning in the late autumn sun on the bank, just sitting, something you have not done since you were a kit pressed against your mother's side. The light is low and gold. The aspens have gone yellow. A kingfisher crosses the pond in a straight, bright line and disappears into the cattails. You do not haul branches that afternoon. Winter comes early. You are slower getting into the lodge when the temperature drops. Your last swim of the season is shallow, close to the lodge. You surface in the interior air pocket and climb onto the sleeping shelf. You do not leave the lodge again. Your mate and your youngest offspring are there. They use the cache. They maintain the dam. In the spring, they repair the winter's damage and the pond holds. On the first warm morning of that spring, a kit surfaces from the lodge entry tunnel and pulls itself up onto the bank. Small, uncertain on its feet. It looks out at the pond for the first time, at the wide still water, the birch and aspen on the banks, the dam holding it all in place. It moves to the water's edge and noses a stick. Something in its jaw knows exactly what to do.